What's going on, everybody? This is Greg back with the Super 6 Charger, and I just wanted to do a quick update video of the car since I've had the RIPP kit on it. And I've actually just driven it on a trip to Florida. I guess about a total of maybe about a little over 700 miles to Florida and back. And I must say that it drove pretty good. Didn't have any issues or any trouble with it. It rode pretty smooth. I need to actually have it tuned a little bit more, I think, because I am getting some jerkiness between a couple of the gears in the lower RPM range, anywhere from 1500 to 25 RPMs. And usually those jerks will occur somewhere between third, fourth, or fifth gear. But once it smooths out, it does pretty good. But I know that's kind of unusual for that to happen, so just wanted to share that with you. But the Supercharger kit itself is installed pretty solid. There shouldn't be any leaks or anything, and nothing that I've noticed. So I think it's doing quite well, but we just got to get those jerks ironed out. The Supercharger is well broken in now. So I couldn't figure out why I was still having that jerk issue. But overall, it's performed really well. When I step on that power, it's there when I need it. It is fast, I must say that. So as I mentioned before in my other video, I did have some lights on the dash when I turned it on. So let's see. And those lights have since been cleared. So it was a steering wheel light and an airbag light that was on right after I had the Supercharger installed. And I took it back 2 or 3 times, and my installer couldn't figure out why those lights were on. I don't know what kind of machine he was using or whatever, but he just couldn't figure out, and I couldn't figure out why he couldn't figure it out, since he was the one that installed it. But overall, I think their installation of the kit was pretty good. But I just think that they kind of dropped the ball as far as tuning it. And that's one thing I want to say is, when you have this kit installed, or if you buy a kit and you need someone to install it, please make sure that you find an installer that knows what they're doing. Make sure they're familiar with Dodges. Make sure they're familiar with your if you have a Charger or a Challenger, make sure they're familiar with the Pentastar engine. But I just don't think that they were really familiar with this engine, but they knew what to do as far as putting this hardware on. But as far as tuning, I just wasn't really pleased with it. So I'm going to end up having to take it somewhere else to get it tuned. Probably Injected Engineering, as recommended by D-Dot Ford, is where he took his. So I'm looking into that, and I just want this thing to run 100% and to the max of what it's supposed to do. But anyway, getting back to those lights, the only light that's on now is a check engine light, and that check engine light has been on only like a day. It went off. It's been off for like 3 weeks or so, and then it just came back on today. I was just kind of tooling around town very slowly, and I don't think that had anything to do with it, but it came back on. And I ran a code with this little device right here, little fixed app, and it gave me a couple of codes, which was P113D and P113E. It was reading from the check engine light. So I'm gonna see if I can get those defined from somewhere. But those other lights, the airbag light and the steering wheel light, that my installer didn't know why it was doing that. Only thing I had to do was reset the whole system by unplugging the battery and replugging the battery back in, and everything just reset. My power steering came back, which I didn't have before. You know, when that steering light was on, my power steering came back. The airbag light went off. Everything cleared and reset. The check engine light was on before, but it had gone off. So this is like the second, I think like the second time it's been on, and then it'll go off. But so we got to get that taken care of. But anyway, I just couldn't figure out why my installer, man, you know, didn't turn this off. You know, couldn't figure out why, you know, all you had to do was disconnect the battery. So that's just crazy. That's just crazy. I was really unhappy with that. You know, I don't know. Just make sure that when you get this kit, you go to someone who knows what the heck they're doing. Okay, so make sure you do that. Learn from my experience. Go to someone who can install it and get that sucker tuned just the way you need it to be tuned, because RIPP states that the tune that it comes with, the HP tune that it comes with, you know, is good enough. It's a good tune, you know, and I'm willing to go with that. But if I have to, you know, either get something a little better, either get a better tune or whatever, then I'll do that. But I just don't know right now. But I'm definitely not going back to where I had it installed. So to save you guys some time, make sure you check up front that your installer knows this RIPP kit. They're familiar with RIPP. They know your car and they know your engine. They're familiar with Dodge, and they know how to tune. Okay, so make sure you do that. But like I said, man, I'm still pleased, man. This thing has more power than, like I said before, more power than I know 90% of the cars on the road, man. It will scat when you step on it. There is that same little Dodge lag that you get, but when that sucker catches, man, I mean, it just rips. So I think I'm gonna try some new with that jerkiness. I'm gonna start with the least expensive thing that I could think of, which will probably be the new RIPP coil packs. I'm gonna get a set of those, or I'm thinking about getting a set of them and installing them on here, and installing some new spark plugs as well. I noticed, I was looking here, right back in there. If you look, I don't know if y'all can see it. Let's see. Let's see if I can get the camera in there. I can't quite get the camera down in there to see, but right here on this coil pack, there's a coil pack right there, that one in the back. I noticed around the ceiling of that, there's a little bit of moisture. Look like it's some oil-like substance coming from there. So I'm thinking there may be some oil inside that spark plug right there, which may be where the jerkiness is coming from. It's shorting that spark out, so that could be it. And then I noticed there's a little bit of moisture on this hose right here. There's just a little bit, there's just a few little specks of moisture, so that may be part of the problem as well. So I just got to get it looked at. I will probably let my shop that installed it, Modavi Motorsports in Lilburn, I may let them look at it again, you know, as far as this is concerned. But as far as tuning, man, they've dropped the ball. But anyway, that's what I'm thinking about doing for those issues first, before I go into another $600 or $700 brand new tune and map sensor and all of that. So, but anyway, man, I love this thing. It is it's performing just like I expected it to. Performing just like I expected it. But another thing is, I remember J-Mac was concerned about some oil coming from his blow-off valve that he was getting on his hood. And I guess it depends on the installer which direction your blow-off valve faces. Mine is facing toward the rear of the engine. I've seen them facing front of the engine. I've seen them pointing down. I think 86 faces on his Challenger. I think his is actually pointing down toward the bottom down hose here. But I guess that's just a that just goes along with whoever installs it. Okay, but anyway, the only moisture I notice or oil I notice is right up under the lip here. There's just a little bit of oil right there. But otherwise, on the inside of this blow-off valve, it's clean. You know, I don't, you know, there's nothing inside of there. But just right up underneath the lip, you know, you get just a little bit of moisture, but nothing is blowing here. I know J-Max said that stuff was blowing all up on the top of his hood, but I'm not having that issue. I guess it just depends. It's an individual issue, I guess. But anyway, that's really the only thing going on with it. Again, I put a little flap here since I have the Hellcat hood with these vents. You know, I want to keep water out of off of my air filter here. So I just kind of made this little makeshift little plastic flap here, you know, with some little wire ties on there, and you know, just kind of keep water off my air filter. But other than that, man, it's I love it. I love it. If you're thinking about doing it, man, go ahead and do it. If you can swing it, go ahead and do it if you want more power. So but anyway, man, that's what's going on with it. You know, if you have any questions or comments, just make sure you put them down in the description below or in the comment section, and I'll be glad to answer. But there it is. So appreciate you guys' support. Anything else goes on with the car, I'll let you know. But otherwise, I'm loving it. All right, y'all. Peace out.